a former member of the CosmoMap Program. Due to the sudden closure of the CosmoMap Program, the findings in the God's Heart Galaxy were never published. I believe they should be. I was unable to get in contact with the former leaders of the program, so I do not have complete documentation of our research or the permission to publish it. Regardless, I've decided to release the documents and recordings I had saved to my personal devices. I am releasing these anonymously, as I am unsure of the legality of this.
The CosmoMap Program. Founded by Bethany Kuiper, the CosmoMap Program is a team of brilliant astronomers who have been working together to map out our universe for nearly 90 years. Since our founding, we have successfully charted over 20% of the Andromeda Galaxy and over 30% of the Sleeping Owl Galaxy. We were also a key member of the Milky Way Mapping Project, working with the Cosmic Charting Foundation, Galactic Mapping, and various other outer space charting organizations to map out our entire Milky Way galaxy. We were the first ever outer space charting organization to be founded outside of the solar system, being founded on Guardian, the moon of Horizon. To this day, our main headquarters still reside in the very same spot, on Guardian. We also have major research stations located in 7 different galaxies. What are we working on now? As of 07/28, 3101, currently, we are continuing our quest with charting the Andromeda and Sleeping Owl galaxies, but that isn't all we're up to. We're always searching the cosmos for interesting galaxies to begin researching and charting. We have most recently begun researching and charting the God's Heart Galaxy. After noticing some extraordinarily unique signals emitting from the galaxy, our work on this project has only just begun, but we may already be able to say that it's the most interesting galaxy we have ever discovered. We're incredibly excited to share our findings. Farewell. It is with a heavy heart that we must announce the closing of the CosmoMap Program. For nearly a century and a half, the CosmoMap Program has brought astronomers together from all over the universe to map out our ever-expanding home. However, due to the recent tragedy we suffered in the God's Heart Galaxy, we no longer have sufficient funding to continue our journey. We would like to thank everyone who has ever contributed to the program, whether through financial donations or through intelligence and dedication to science. We would also like to give a special thank you to those who lost their lives with us in the pursuit of discovery. Thank you to everyone for helping us discover. Mercury Kuiper. God's Heart Galaxy. The God's Heart Galaxy is a distant galaxy that stretches nearly 300,000 light-years across. It is the first and currently only galaxy to be discovered to be home to non-Earth originating life. Other than its iconic heart shape, God's Heart was previously a seemingly unnoteworthy galaxy. However, sometime around 2401, the galaxy began emitting new, extremely unique signals. We are still unsure of the source of these signals, and have yet to find any other galaxies emitting signals of a similar nature. These signals are emitted galaxy-wide in God's Heart, originating from seemingly every planet and star in the galaxy. Other celestial objects in the galaxy, such as its central black hole, the Mouth, also emit these signals. God's Heart is currently around 20% charted, and has been found to be home to many unique anomalies, not yet seen anywhere else in the known universe. These anomalies include interstellar asteroid trails, pulsating planets, a complete lack of moons, and superplanetary systems. The galaxy also contains an unusually high amount of rogue planets. During explorations of God's Heart, multiple instances of rogue planet collisions have been observed. Despite the high amount of rogue planets in the galaxy, the amount of collisions witnessed are still improbable enough that we believe there must be some sort of external force causing them. Notable locations: the Rested Eyes System, planetary system; the Pilot, star; the Nest, superplanetary system; the Mouth, central black hole. The Cardiologist Project. As of 07/28, 3101. The Cardiologist Project is an ongoing series of missions consisting of explorations into and the charting of God's heart. Notable Cardiologist Project missions include Curioptic 1, the Dive, Dive 2, Dive 3, the Pilot Fish, and Locust. As of 07/28/3101, there have been 36 total named missions under the Cardiologist Project. The project has had a notably high rate of CosmoMap cadet fatality, with 17 of the 22 deaths in the history of the CosmoMap program occurring during Cardiologist Project missions. The Cardiologist Project. As of 07/28/3101, the Cardiologist Project is an ongoing series of missions consisting of explorations into and the charting of God's heart. As of the previously stated date, there have been 36 total named missions under the Cardiologist Project. Missions. The following list is in order of launch date. Curioptic 1, complete loss. Legacy, complete loss. Rescue Probe 1, the Dive, full return. Dive 2, full return. Dive 3, partial loss. The Dentist. The Pilot Fish, full return. Locust, full return. Locust 2, full return. Pilot Fish 2, full return. Pilot Fish 3, complete loss. Rescue Probe 2, Dentist 2, The Orbital. Locust 3, full return. Jellyfish 1, partial loss. The Orbital, segment 2. Dive 4, full return. The Fluke, full return. The Fluke 2, partial loss. Rescue Probe 3, The Orbital, segment 3. The Orbital, segment 4. The Orbital, segment 5. The Orbital, segment 6. The Orbital, segment 7. Pilot Fish 4, full return. The Orbital, segment 8. Pilot Fish V, complete loss. The Orbital, segment 9. The Orbital, segment 10. The Beacon, full return. Justice 1, full return. Justice 2, full return. Forever 1, full return. Loss of cadets. The Cardiologist Project has had a notably high rate of CosmoMap cadet fatality, with 17 of the 22 deaths in the history of the CosmoMap program occurring during Cardiologist Project missions. Of the 17 cadet deaths under the Cardiologist Project, 15 of the deaths have been caused by collisions with rogue planets. Despite God's heart's unusually high amount of rogue planets, the amount of rogue planet collisions observed remains extremely improbable and practically impossible, if as coincidental as a typical rogue planet collision. This leads us to believe some sort of external force is causing these collisions. It is also important to note that all rogue planet collisions observed in God's heart have occurred at a location where cadets currently are or have recently been. Interstellar asteroid trails. Interstellar asteroid trails are a currently unexplained phenomenon in which billions of asteroids form uniform trails between planetary systems. God's Heart Galaxy is the only known galaxy to contain interstellar asteroid trails and seemingly has trails running between nearly all of its planetary systems. It is unknown where these trails begin, but it is theorized that some of them may loop back on themselves. In all known planetary systems that are connected with interstellar asteroid trails, all planets in said system have large craters in which the trails funnel into and then exit. The leading theory is that these craters are created by the interstellar asteroid trails. Interstellar asteroid trails were first documented during the Curioptic 1 mission. Composition. During the Legacy mission, several asteroids from a trail were mined and studied. The asteroids comprising these trails were found to have extremely unique composition compared to typical asteroids. All the asteroids studied were around an average temperature of 153.15 Kelvin, a temperature which was found to be almost perfectly maintained through light years of space travel. The cause of this insolation is unknown. The studied asteroids were also all found to be hollow and filled with gaseous oxygen, heated to evaporation by the asteroid's unusually high temperature. The Rested Eye System. The rested eye system, formerly known as GH-1.5, was the first planetary system within God's heart to be ventured to, and was the destination of the first Cardiologist Project mission. It was given its name in honor of the CosmoMap cadets lost during the Curiosity 1 and Legacy missions. The rested eye system was the first planetary system to be discovered that contained non-Earth originating life. However, the organisms discovered in the nest were identified as being biological in nature before the organisms from rested eyes were identified as such. Biological material was discovered in the rested eye system during the Legacy mission. However, further study on it was not possible due to the loss of the Legacy crew shortly after the discovery. Due to the danger of rogue planets in the rested eye system, cadets were not sent to the system again until the Dive 4 mission, where samples of the organisms were finally taken to headquarters for study. Testing found the specimen to be sensitive to light and reacted to it by seemingly attempting to send signals to a non-existent host. We now refer to these organisms as ocular film. For unknown reasons, rogue planet collisions appear to be much more common in the rested eye system compared to most other planetary systems in God's heart. The only planetary systems with comparable amounts of collisions are systems that are strikingly similar to rested eyes, containing biological relatives of the light-sensitive organisms found in the rested eye system. It is unknown how the organism spans multiple planetary systems, but it can be reasonably determined that the frequent rogue planet collisions are somehow related to these organisms. The Dive. The Dive mission began preparations after readings were received from GH-2.6, or as it is now called, the Heart System. The readings seemed to suggest that the planets in the system were frequently changing in size by a slight margin, a phenomenon that our astronomers were unable to explain. A team of 5 CosmoMap cadets was assembled to study the system up close. The crew consisted of Vivian Scuddy, Rory Heights, Ring Piper, Marcus Max, and Finch Arts. Mission Summary. While approaching the system, the team observed interstellar asteroid trails entering and leaving the system, tunneling through planets in the process. This was the second discovered instance of interstellar asteroid trails interacting with a planetary system. The crew later successfully made it into orbit of the Heart's 4th planet, a large gas giant with roughly 3 times the mass of Jupiter. Notably, the planet did not possess any moons, despite its size. Due to its lack of moons, the crew began referring to it as the Storm of Solitude. The name became commonplace in the program before it was realized that seemingly no planetary systems within God's heart contained moons. The crew began recording video footage of the planet from orbit and continuously filmed the planet for 30 days. Afterwards, the footage was reviewed at high speeds to see if a change in size was visually apparent. Upon reviewing the footage, it was found that over the course of the 30 days, the planet slowly grew in size and then slowly began shrinking back down. At its largest, the planet was roughly 1.3 times the size of itself at its smallest state. It was also observed that active storms on the planet rotated clockwise while the planet grew in size, but began rotating counterclockwise when the planet shrank in size. The team discussed deploying their probe into the planet, but determined that it would not be worth using their only probe, as they believed it would be almost immediately destroyed in the storms of the planet before gathering any meaningful data. The crew left orbit of the Storm of Solitude and made their way towards the Heart's 2nd planet. This planet was a terrestrial planet and had notably large craters on its surface. The crew spent another 30 days recording video footage of the planet to determine if it exhibited the same growing and shrinking phenomenon as the Storm of Solitude. After reviewing the footage, they were able to confirm that the planet possessed the same behavior. After confirming that the planet exhibited the same properties as the Storm of Solitude, the crew launched their probe into one of the planet's large craters. The probe descended into the crater for 113.78 miles. The probe eventually reached the core of the planet, which was found to be almost completely hollow. The only structures of any kind to be found inside the planet were an unknown number of towers, extending from the bottom of the planet's crust towards the empty center of the planet. The probe also recorded unusually high amounts of space dust present inside the planet. After this discovery, the crew returned, marking the end of the Dive mission. Towers. The Pit of Towers is the second planet of the GH-2.6 planetary system, also known as the Heart System, and was initially discovered during the dive mission. The Pit of Towers possesses several large craters, the widest of which stretches over 7,000 miles across. These craters lead to a large hollow core approximately 113 miles below the surface. The only structures to be found inside of its core are the passing interstellar asteroid trails and a vast quantity of towers. The towers are extremely large structures ranging from 6,000 to 10,000 miles tall. An estimated 800 billion towers are relatively evenly distributed within the planet's interior. Hanging from the bottom of the surface crust and extending towards the planet's empty center, the crew of Dive 2 discovered that the towers slowly draw in space dust, which the Pit of Towers core contains an unusually high amount of. The crew mined into several of the towers in an attempt to determine what was causing the space dust to be drawn in and where it was going. It was discovered that the towers lead to a vast interconnected system of tunnels. It is unknown how these were created. It is worth noting that the Pit of Towers does not seem to be structurally unique. During Dive 2, the first planet of the Heart System, the Lantern of Ember, was also investigated, and it was found to share all the same abnormalities as the Pit of Towers. Dive 3 also discovered the core of the Storm of Solitude to have similar tower-like structures, although these were likely destroyed when the Diving Bell team accidentally triggered the collapse of the planet's core. More recent missions, such as the Flute mission, have even discovered other planetary systems containing planets of an identical nature to the Pit of Towers. These planets have been given the name Tower Planets. The Nest, formerly known as GH-3.X, is a superplanetary system discovered by locusts after it was noticed that it and several other neighboring stars had extremely unusual transits. The Nest was the first discovered superplanetary system. Upon locusts' arrival at the system, it was found that the system contained a previously assumed impossible number of planets. Our best estimate suggests that the Nest contains around 4,000 planets when at peak population. This number fluctuates as planets are constantly forming in and being ejected from the system. Studies of individual planets' age have yet to find a planet exceeding an approximate age of 5,000 years. This is highly unusual as planets typically take longer to form. It is theorized that this rapid rate of planet production is because of the Nest's high amount of planets. However, it is unknown how planets are created at such speeds. Life in the Nest system. A sample of the organisms found on nearly every planet in the Nest system was the first non-Earth originating biological material to ever be identified as such. It should be noted that the organisms found in the Rested Eye system were the first non-Earth originating organism to be discovered. However, they were not identified as organic until after the identification of the Nest organisms. The organisms found in the Nest system, now referred to as nest algae, are strikingly similar to ocular film, as both consist of a thin film that covers a large portion of their home planet surface. Studies of nest algae's rough equivalent to DNA seem to suggest that it contains the biological instructions for a much more complex organism than itself. Ocular film. Ocular film is a non-Earth originating organism first discovered on the two terrestrial planets in the Rested Eye system. Since its discovery, ocular film has also been found on terrestrial planets in several other planetary systems in God's heart, such as the Watchtower system. Colonies of ocular film nearly always stretch across a vast majority of their home planet's surface, generally covering 60% to 90% of the planet's surface. The featured photograph was taken from high orbit and showcases the scale of an ocular film colony. The area pictured is approximately 4,525 miles across. Ocular film was first documented during the Legacy mission. Further studies. A sample of an ocular film colony was collected by Dive 4 and brought back to headquarters for examination. Testing found the specimen to be sensitive to light, and that its mass was mostly composed of structures similar to photoreceptors. It was found that different wavelengths of light caused the specimen to emit different electromagnetic signals. The Pilot is the current largest known star in the universe, with a radius around 5,600 times greater than the Sun. The Pilot was discovered by the pilotfish while following an interstellar asteroid trail. When the trail the crew was following led directly into the star, it is estimated that around 20 billion interstellar asteroid trails lead into the Pilot. It may be possible that the Pilot is where all interstellar asteroid trails found in God's heart lead. However, it is unknown why the star seems to attract them. It is theorized that the Pilot could be the cause of interstellar asteroid trails in God's heart. Scans of the Pilot have detected over 126 billion unique electromagnetic signals emitting from the star's interior. Planetary systems confirmed to be connected to the Pilot via interstellar asteroid trails include the Rested Eyes System, the Watchtower System, the Heart System, the Nest, and Deep Breath. Size comparison of UY Scuddy against the Pilot. List of lost CosmoMap cadets. Notice, this list has not yet been updated to include the CosmoMap cadets lost in the sudden consumption of the orbital. The list will be updated once it can be determined which cadets were on the station at the time of its destruction. At the moment, all we have is a rough estimation that around 120 cadets were on the station. Lost cadets. Otto Page, Courtney Quinton, Ashley Valentine, Star Harvest, Autumn Argon, Saturn Hawthorne, Ray Wolfgang, Phobia Hearts, Harvey Pluto, Pisces Powell, Dean Doyle, Cadence Carmichael, Duke Truffle, Guide Clark, Ring Piper, Candy Feathers, Raina Victor, Raoul Sinclair, Adam Lakes, Rory Heights, Blake Brandon, Saturn Capes. The Mouth is the central black hole of the God's Heart galaxy. Initial calculations determined the black hole to be around 4 million solar masses, roughly identical in mass to Sagittarius A star. However, after suspicions arose that the mass may have been miscalculated, the mass of the black hole was recalculated. Upon recalculation, it was determined that the mouth was more likely around 30 billion solar masses. The Dentist, an unmanned probe, was sent to orbit the mouth to collect more data. Interestingly, upon arrival, it was found the mouth was only around 1 million solar masses. The Dentist probe was later consumed by the mouth, despite having a stable orbit, which prompted the creation of Dentist 2. Upon Dentist 2's arrival at the mouth, it was found that the black hole had increased in mass to roughly 55 billion solar masses. It is now believed that initial calculations of the black hole's mass were not incorrect, but more likely a result of the mouth's fluctuation in mass. It has now been determined that the mouth routinely fluctuates between 800,000 solar masses and 85 billion solar masses. When at its largest, the mouth is the most massive black hole in the known universe. The Orbital. The Orbital is a 10-segment space station currently in orbit around the mouth, orbiting at a distance far exceeding the mouth's maximum radius. It serves as a secondary headquarters for CosmoMap Program studies in the God's Heart galaxy. The orbital is currently able to house 150 people, and as of 07/28/3101, houses 110 members of the CosmoMap program. An additional 5 segments are planned to be added to the station within the next 10 years.